there was a man who had 3 sons. The first.
The second.
1 tree plus 1 tree equals 5 trees. Yeah, 5.
And the third, everyone thought he was a simpleton. They called him Dumpling.
They picked on him.
Poof! Sneered at him. And teased him.
At every opportunity.
One day, the first son decided to go to the forest and chop wood there.
And before he set off, his mother prepared him a delicious sweet homemade cake. Ding! And a bottle of French wine.
Ah, oui, oui.
In case he needed to eat or drink. When the first son entered the forest,
He saw a little grey-haired old man.
who called out
Good day.
to him and said,
Please, a piece of cake and a gulp of your good wine, for I am hungry and thirsty.
but the first son replied coolly,
Certainly not. If I give you my wine and if I give you my cake, there would be none for my left. But that wouldn't be clever, so go away, go away.
And he turned his back on him and strode on smartly.
but when he began to choke at his first tree,
It was only a few moments before he made a stupid
I cut him so painfully in the arm.
and had to run back home to have it bandaged.
And it was the little grey-haired old man who made this happen.
Soon after that, the second son decided to go to the forest and chop wood there.
And he too received from his mother a delicious sweet homemade cake and a bottle of Italian wine.
Si! And he met the old man there as well, who said, "A swig of wine and a piece of cake, please, for I'm thirsty and hungry."
But the sensible son refused.
Certainly not. That's out of the question. Anything I give to you means less for me. On your way.
And he left the old man standing there all alone and walked on barefooted. Still, the punishment came out so quickly.
And as he was hanging at his first tree,
He cut himself so severely in the leg
that he had to run back home to have it bandaged.
And that was the little grey man who made this happen.
So, Dumpling said,
Father, please, let me go to the forest to cut wood.
his father sighed and tutted.
Dumpling, Dumpling, your brothers have damaged themselves doing so. Dumpling, be quiet.
But
You do
Dumpling,
not know what you're talking about.
he begged and pleaded for so long that eventually his father said,
All right then. Go! Perhaps when you've damaged yourself, that would be a lesson for you. Go!
But Dumpling received from his mother Dumpling, a tasteless cake made with water, and a bottle of sour beer to wash it down with. When Dumpling entered the forest, he saw a little old grey man who greeted him.
A piece of your cake and a gulp of your wine, for I am so hungry and thirsty.
Dumpling answered simply and honestly.
I've only have a tasteless cake and some stale ale, but if that's enough for you, you're welcome to share it.
So they sat together. When Dumpling took out his cinder cake, now it had turned into the most delicious apple pie. And the sour beer had turned into the most wonderful bottle of wine. They sat and ate and drank and laughed and ate and drank and laughed.
Now,
At the end, the old man said,
since you have such a kind heart and given so generously, I am going to reward you with the gift of good luck. Now, you see that old oak tree over there? Well, chop it down with that axe, and within it, you will find something very special within its roots.
Then Dumpling was left alone. Hey! Bobby, and he went straight into the tree to cut it down. Timber!
And as it fell, there was a goose sitting in the roots with feathers of pure gold. He picked her up, tucked her under his arm, and set off for the nearest inn where he intended to stay the night. Now, the landlord of the inn had 3 daughters. Clever, bright, and smart. And as soon as they saw the goose, they were fascinated by it.
And were curious to find out what kind of bird it was.
and now longing to have one of its golden feathers.
Then the eldest thought, I'll be smart. I'll wait for a good opportunity and pluck out one of its feathers for myself. So, once Dumpling had left, she grabbed the goose by its wing, but her hand and fingers stuck like glue.
Then the second sister came with exactly the same bright idea, plucking out a golden feather all for herself. But as long as she touched her sister's hand, she had stuck to her.
Last of all, the third sister came, determined to have one of the feathers for herself. But her sister shouted,
Stay away! For heaven's sake, stay away!
She thought to herself, why shouldn't I have a feather for myself and they should? So she rushed to her sisters, and once she touched her second sister, she was stuck to her.
And there, the 3 of them
Had to stay there all night.
Glued to the golden goose.
clever.
Bright and small.
The next morning, Dumpling took the goose under his arm and set off into the world without actually blinking an eye at his three sisters who were stuck behind him!
And the three sisters had to run behind Dumpling and his goose every old way he chose to go.
Left, right, fast and slow! As they were crossing the fields,
The parson of the city, he was standing there. And he saw the procession of the three sisters running after Dumpling, and he stopped them sternly. Oh, you ought to be ashamed of yourself, you disgraceful girls. Running after a young man in the fields like this. God, how young girls come to these days.
he then grabbed the youngest by the ear and tried to pull her away.
But as soon as he touched her ear, he was stuck to her, and she had to run left, right, fast and slow. The next thing, the parson's assistant came exactly the same way, and seeing the parson, this pillar of the community, running after the three girls, he was shocked and said,
Boy, your reverence, where are you rushing off to? Have you forgotten? We have a wedding to go to. Reverence!
She trotted up to him and tugged at his sleeve. And left, right, fast and slow.
There were now 5 of them, running after Dumpling and his golden goose. The first sister, the second sister, the third sister, the parson, and the parson's assistant. Eventually, they arrived at a city. Caskets, caskets! Come and get your genuine gold caskets here. 4 for the price of 5. 5 gold coins for you, sir.
Κεράσια, κεράσια, τα καλύτερα κεράσια. Με 3 ευρώ παίρνεις 2 κιλά στην καλύτερη τιμή.
تعالوا عنا بس ب5 دنانير مش أكتر. 5 دنانير امسك من الباقي. أحسن بضاعة عنا السيل كل شيء موجود. أهلا وسهلا فيكم.
The king had a daughter who was so serious that nothing and no one could make her laugh.
Because of this, the king had given his word.
Whoever makes my daughter laugh could marry her.
Simple as that. Now when Dumpling heard this, he went directly to the king's daughter with his golden goose and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people directly behind him.
The solemn-faced girl had to look each one of them all, running up and down, and she started out laughing, and she laughed so much that she couldn't stop.
Dumpling then asked to marry her, as was his right. And the peals of laughter became peals of wedding bells.
Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong.
The wedding took place at once, and Dumpling became heir to the kingdom. And live long and happily with his wife.